So you still have a print subscription to the Buffalo News, huh?
Mm-mm.
No? Oh.
Electric.
Oh.
And even that is 5 minutes in and you're out. You're done. So is
But
the
that's a print copy.
no?
No?
That's
Oh, that's from your
online.
computer? Oh, okay. Oh.
Is the
Yes.
are the Cardinals your favorite team?
No. No. I like the Cardinals. I appreciate that they have a good farm system. I appreciate that they developed talent like Michael Waka, you know, when they needed him, and there he was, and he's still around. So I just like baseball. So
Well, if you ever need tickets to Bison game, just let me know.
cool. Thank
Send
you.
me dates and I've got tickets. I'll leave them at will call for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Or if you leave them, give me in advance. I'll drop them in the mail to you.
Cool. Yeah, I have a
So who would be your favorite teams now?
I do like the Cardinals. I like the story of the White Sox right now.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is. It's a truly amazing thing, and and it's cool. So, I have MLB TV, so I'm blocked out of Yankee games, Met games, Pittsburgh games.
Isn't that crazy?
It is, and Cleveland games, and it's like
How about
no,
Toronto?
no. I guess because it's international, I'm not blocked out of them. But although they're the closest team to us, major league team, but any game I can watch the next day. So my wife always teases me. She asks if this game is live or not, and so. And you're a Yankee fan, or yeah?
Lifelong Yankee and Chicago Cubs.
Interesting. And why the Cubs?
When I was a
And
kid,
we might cover this on the show because this is important stuff.
when I was a kid, our little league season. My cousin lived in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and our little league season here ended the end of July.
Uh-huh.
So we would find 2 weeks in August when the Cubs were at home,
Uh-huh.
and I would take the train from the train terminal downtown and
And
go
you go
watch.
to Wrigley.
And one game, we always got there early. Gates open like at noon for a 1 o'clock game, because they're all afternoon games.
Yeah.
And we,
And they pack them in.
oh man.
And they
And this
also
was
had
back when the bleacher bums were there before.
Yeah. And they're some of those buildings outside that people throw parties at. And
They were there, and they were
they don't-
doing that, but not as now it's monetized big time.
Yeah,
It's more expensive to sit up there than in the park. But one game was, ironically, Cubs and St. Louis.
which is a rivalry.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it was Fergie Jenkins versus Bob Gibson.
Wow.
And
You saw Bob Gibson pitch.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
And we're out in the left field bleachers, and Bob Gibson or Ernie Banks hits a ball coming. Oh my God, coming right to us. It lands there, so we all dive for it. Like I don't know, 13, 14 years old, and I'm shaking it away, and there's another hand on it, and I pull it, and it's mine. The other hand was my cousin. Wouldn't talk to me the rest of the trip.
Well,
Go 20 years later, maybe not 20, but whatever, maybe 10. I was, probably mid-70s, 80s. I was now full-time at the Tonawanda News, so it had to be 76, 77. And they had the Dunlop Pro-Am dinner, which was a prelude to the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame. And the promoter would do a night here and the next night in Rochester. So he'd bring these pros in for 2 nights.
Right.
He'd do 2 different events. And,
Makes sense. That's
we
smart.
got the notice that here's who's coming in. There's a press conference. And so one of the players coming in who was representing the Pro Athlete of the Year was Ernie Banks.
Let's play too.
And so I went and I grabbed the baseball and I went to see him and told him the story. And he looked at the ball, silence, with all this other media around, and he relived that game as if it were yesterday.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, that he only hit a couple home runs off Gibby, and
Yeah.
it's wild.
You both now have the link in your phone.
Okay.
If you
cool.
want to share it up now during the pre-show, this
Yeah.
is the time to do it. Just copy and paste it onto your Facebook
Yep.
page or wherever. I was telling people about the
All right, copy link.
copy the link, then go to your Facebook page and look to see where it says, what's on your mind today?
Share a note.
If, I mean, or is there something like, you don't see the what's on your mind today thing?
Where is that at?
This. Under all posts, it says what's on your mind.
All posts.
And then you go there and you paste.
Ah, yes.
We are appreciative of your technological
And then
skills.
how do you paste?
You just.
I think you
just
hold
hold
it
down.
and it'll
And it
give you
gives you an
options.
options.
Oh,
and one of
paste.
the options is paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Hit done.
Hit. Well, on my phone it's saying next, and then you
Next.
then you hit share.
Post.
Yep.
And now all your friends have been notified.
It's going through right now. All right, just now it's up.
You can add a comment to that if you want, saying, I'm on the air now, if you want to leave a comment or question.
Can they hear right now?
Yeah, they can hear us.
So I'm on the air
Oh.
with both of you.
That's right.
And then-
say hello to your people.
Hi, people.
There are some shows that really ham it up in the pre-show.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I am sure. I'm gonna play a different song. No, 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 no. Yeah. Mike's camera.
Yeah. What
Could
about
you
it?
adjust it?
I will if you want me to.
Yeah.
Let's wait till the show starts.
The musical stylings of Billy Joel.
Oh, yeah, I got to adjust both cameras.
That's good.
You're okay?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
A little bright, so I'm gonna...
Yeah. Thank you, Richard, for giving me. There you go. Yep.
Like it like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looks like I'm tan.
And young and lovely.
So Richard has to connect us to the different platforms, and then he'll tell us when we're good to go.
And the new platforms keep popping up every day. Just yesterday,
Uh-huh.
we discovered a new platform called Rumble.
Ah,
And they said, send us your links. We love to do live streams.
yeah,
So now we're on Rumble.
it works for them. So it's Rumble, it's Facebook, what else?
YouTube,
Uh-huh.
Twitch.
Okay.
And then we started
Twitch is big.
we started TikTok.
Oh, cool.
But TikTok doesn't like to do live unless you're
So that was
like Joe Rogan, then they'll do live.
so that's Paul Krieger who was talking to you about TikTok, right? The guy who
He's the guy who tried to tell me how easy it was.
well,
And then we discovered that it's not as easy. It's easy for him, but it
because
wouldn't
he's
be
just doing it from his phone.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. TikTok makes you jump through a lot of hoops if you do it through a desktop computer.
Yeah.
But they're very cooperative. They
Yeah.
started out giving us 10 minutes, and
Okay.
then last week Friday we got a memo. Why don't you go up to an hour?
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
You might be an answer to my prayers. I've always been looking at, everyone's talking about podcasting, and I've done a lot in the media, and I've always wanted to do this. And looking around this room here,
And the beauty
you've
of it
got
is,
it.
yeah, you don't have to worry about the technology. You just have to worry about the content.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have any shortage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and guests, no guests, whatever you want, multiple guests. I still hold the record for the most guests in studio at one time, right?
Yeah, that class you brought in,
Yeah.
that was standing room only all around the table.
Yeah.
That was the inspiration for getting these high-level chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mike, you'd be sitting here.
You'd be in the con.
Yeah. And he'll explain the buttons to you.
Okay,
Tell me when we're all shared up.
Yeah,
we're all up.
we're ready.
We're all
Everything's
shared
ready.
up? Okay.
Yeah, we're all shared up.
If you hear any static during the show, it just means your phone is too close to your face.
Okay.
So you just got to put like another foot away. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to teach you something new.
Okay.
On your little button box,
Yeah.
there is a number 5 with a circle around it.
Yes.
Pressing that
Begins
starts
the
the timer,
countdown.
which starts the show.
Okay. There we go. 5. Mike, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. Okay. Thank you, Richard Wicker. We are now on the air. This is Think Twice Radio, and I want to thank Richard Wicker for, he allows all different podcasters to do this for free. And it's an awesome service to the community. So if you have a message that needs to get out there, just go to thinktwiceradio.com and the schedule page and contact Richard. Friend him on Facebook, contact him, give him a little idea of what you're going to do. But Richard, I haven't heard Richard say no to anybody in terms of doing a show. And today, for 6 Degrees of Matt, I have Mike Billoni. And I'm sure there are people out there saying, how the heck did you get Mike Billoni? And I said, well, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Mike Billoni. And Mike is very gracious. So, I'm going to start with this because I played it during the preview, and that is baseball and your love of baseball. And people who know that Mike is responsible in large measure with Jimmy Griffin and other people for getting baseball here, keeping baseball here, promoting baseball here, making the Bisons bigger and better in terms of promotions and getting people out to the park. So why don't we start with that? Because I think that's how a lot of people know you. And then there are other Mike Billoni stories we'll get into.
Well, number one, Matt and Richard, it's really an honor to be here. I've done a number of podcasts, and I've never been in a more grassroots home. I mean, you just feel. I mean, this is what it's all about. And I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job here.
And you've probably driven down
Oh.
Shanley Street and past this, and it looks like a regular house. And it is a
It
regular
is
house.
a regular
Somebody
house.
lives here.
Richard grew up here.
Yeah.
But it's great that you have this service, and a lot of people, tune into podcasts, and the fact that social media is now all you do is have to click on there. I've been a huge fan of social media from the standpoint of, getting opinions out and keeping up with family and friends that you haven't seen forever.
Yeah. There's a dark side, but we're not going to talk about the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, there's a dark side to everything, but if you stay positive. But I just received a text here from my friend Sonia, who's watching this podcast via social media from Orlando, Florida. So, Richard, you now have a viewer in Orlando, Florida with this show. So it's going big time.
Richard's had people from all around the world.
And he continue, and he will.
Yeah.
But you talk about my love for baseball, and you're right, it goes back a long ways. But I'll tell you, my first brush with the Buffalo Bisons was my dad. We grew up in Kenmore, and my dad was the lone home delivery driver for a dry cleaners my Uncle Phil founded 95 years ago, Colvin Cleaners.
Yep.
That my brother Paul now has been running.
See, Sonia James just she typed in a comment.
All right. Yes, I'm watching from Orlando, Florida.
There you go.
And so we saw this publicity of the Buffalo Bisons back in 1967. Who were they affiliated with, Matt?
In '67?
At War Memorial Stadium, where they had been since 1960.
Were they associated with the Yankees?
Nope, the
Cubs?
Cincinnati Reds.
Because they're associated later on with the Indians when the Guardians were the Indians,
Right.
And the Blue Jays and
Yeah, Blue
Lots
Jays currently now.
yep.
Pittsburgh when they took over, but back in the mid '60s, there with the Cincinnati Reds.
Huh.
And
The first stadium in baseball.
right, exactly.
Yep.
So they had a rising star coming up, a catcher, Johnny Bench,
Oh my gosh.
and we went to the game.
Little known Johnny Bench.
We went to the game. I think it was 1966, and I was 11 years old, and the place was packed. But we thought they were all there to see Johnny Bench. As it turned out, in the book that Jim Overfield and I wrote as a follow-up to his dad's book, 100 Years of Buffalo Baseball, they were there because they were free tickets. It was Meat Cutters Union Night. And there was this huge crowd. So Bench gets up there in like first or second inning and takes a fastball on his hand, breaks his hand.
Oh my God.
And he's out the rest of the season. Comes back next year and starts
Buffalo.
in AAA in Buffalo. But because of that was the year of the race riots down Jefferson. And things got so bad there that no night games could be played at the stadium. So they were
Wow.
played at Hyde Park Stadium, that is now Sal Magley Stadium in Niagara Falls.
Huh.
And that was really the beginning of the end of AAA and professional baseball in Buffalo, because midway through the '69 season, they were the franchise. The International League just said you can't stay here anymore, and they moved them midway through the season.
And why did
Winnipeg.
they say? Why did they say?
They weren't drawing any people.
And the numbers.
The stadium was.
You can't have the meat packers every night.
No, and it was really bad conditions, and it was really a community-owned team, and they went belly up, and they left here then in 1960, midway through the season.
But they were the Bisons.
Yep.
Okay.
and then it wasn't. It was until it was. I'm sorry, that was 1970, and then 1979, I was now a sports writer for the Courier Express, and I remember covering a outdoor soccer, ironically today with the World Cup being played.
The final today, yeah.
There was a team called the Buffalo Blazers. It was an outdoor soccer league team
Wow.
that played at War Memorial Stadium in 1979. And Jimmy Griffin, the mayor back then, who was always outspoken and never knew the term politically correct,
Yeah.
he got out there with a
Settle in
microphone.
and get a six-pack.
Exactly. And I was there covering it. And so rather than talk about soccer being there, he says, it's great to be back here in War Memorial Stadium. We have it going. And I'm going to do everything I can as mayor to bring baseball back to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Nothing about the soccer, just and he did. And he brought
did. And that's why the statue is of him.
the Pittsburgh
outside.
Pirates came here, and they had a Double-A team from '79 to '82. Then they went in horrible
And those
financial
were
shape.
good years for the Pirates.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
In fact, Tony Pena and his wife and another fellow from the Dominican, they would leave the game at 10 o'clock. And I remember I used to cover those games. And I would throw them in my car and say, come on, you're not going to walk up. They're walking to Main Street because they lived in a rooming house at the corner of Main and Dodge. And so I would drive them up there. Oh, thank you. Then Tony goes on to be a great catcher in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of baseball memories.
Yeah. But you were talking about, and this was pre-show and maybe pre-show, about your Little League career, your glorious Little League career, and then how you would go to Chicago after the Little League season was over, and you had some memories. And
Yeah, I love playing. I grew up in Kenmore, and, like most kids, back then we just hung out at the park and
played all day long.
Played all day long. And if there wasn't anyone there, all we needed was two people, and we'd go to the side of the school and play home run derby with a rubber ball against the wall. And
in Queens, we played stoop ball.
all right, yep, they have that. We did it. We
With
did
stick
that also.
ball in the streets, yeah.
Well, we did stoop ball, throwing it off the stairs, and then you'd have to catch it.
Yeah.
I mean, we made up these games. I was lucky in that an umpire who's in the Western New York Baseball Hall of Fame, Jerry Brick, was our mailman.
Oh.
And he'd walk with a limp, and he'd come down the street with our mail in the summer. and I'm out there playing catch with a friend.
You're out.
And Jerry would come and take his mailbag off, and people weren't getting the mail, and he's out there showing me how to throw. He then brings me into the yard, and he says, here, and he said, go get a rubber ball and drill a hole in this, and I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll set it up. And we literally put a rope in my garage, hanging it from the garage, and I'm with my bat, and he can show you how you swing it to get a curve. It was great stuff.
Yeah.
But I never really could hit a curveball, so my career was short-lived.
In the majors, that's right.
And then I ended up writing about our Little League team for the Tonawanda News, and that's how I got into sports writing at a young age. But our summer team in the mid-'60s, late 60s, when the Chicago Cubs had the bleacher bums, and they were always in first place up until like late August, and then they would
tank.
September nosedive because they were exhausted. They were playing all day games in Chicago with 90-degree weather.
Yeah.
So our season would end in July, and my cousin lived in Chicago, right off Addison Street.
Oh, yeah,
so
right there.
My parents would take me to the Central train terminal where
They'd wave goodbye.
Yeah, my love for trains would begin. Put me on the train, the conductor, I'm a kid, so they had someone watching over you. And I'd get into, the station in right in Chicago. And my uncle was there with my cousin picking me up, and we'd go spend a week going to Cub games.
And it was affordable back then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were in the bleachers. I think it was like 75 cents or something, and then $1 for a hot dog.
Yeah. And and you call it an afternoon. So so the Tonawanda paper is where you start your sports writing, but eventually you're going to transition into sports management.
Well, it was. I started writing when I was in high school,
Okay.
as a sophomore in high school in 1970, covering the sports at O'Hara High School where I went. But at a young age, I never could really follow instructions very well, and it was told you're covering your school. And so they had one football game on a Saturday, and I'm looking at the paper. There's games Friday night, there's games Saturday night. So I offered to do a couple games, and so that's how my multitasking began. And they saw that I had an interest, and I was fortunate enough to really enjoy the sports writing business. I thought I would always follow my dad and get into. I worked at Colvin Cleaners when I was,
Yeah.
from when I could learn to walk. So that
It's
I
a
thought
family
was going to
business,
be,
yeah.
my next step. But I got into this, and then my brother Paul came back from college, and he took it over, and he's grown it to what it is today. It's just incredible.
It's big business, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm most proud of my
Successful.
brother and my sister-in-law, Cindy, and then my niece and nephew, Christopher and Erica, are running it. But I'm mostly proud of them because our parents, we didn't really grow up with much. We were, we didn't need a food bank, but, we didn't really have a lot of extras. And my
Right.
mom, who grew up in the Depression, knew how to turn a meal into 3 meals, and
Right.
we never went, hungry, obviously, but we also learned the importance of helping others. And they always encouraged us to, if anyone was in need, to take care of them.
Yeah.
We saw at a young age.
Because it could be you.
Yeah, and it was
Easily, yeah.
easily. And we saw at a young age where we always at church around Thanksgiving would get a turkey. All they said was either purchase or give us money for one turkey for a family in need. Well, or you could deliver the turkey. So just one turkey. Well, my mom just said I'll never forget. We went into Loblaws to get one turkey and deliver it to this family in need. And she said, "Well, you think they have a pan to cook it in?" So
Yeah.
here she gets
I
the
mean,
aluminum
really.
pan. Well, what about yams?
Yeah.
What about a pumpkin
What
pie?
about stuffing? What about
Exactly, all of it. So before we knew it, we had a cart full and bags full, and we brought it into the house of this family. And I'll never forget how appreciative they were.
Yeah.
And it was just something that's always been with me. And, I carry that through. I spent time working for the food bank for a few years. And then ever since St. Luke's Mission of Mercy
Yeah.
opened, I've been a
At
great
the holidays,
supporter.
they have the pews lined with the bags. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I think more people should really, look at how fortunate they are
Yeah.
to have a little bit more than what they came in here with, and to give it away to others. Like follow the what Russ Salvatore is doing, or Scott Beeler, or others. My brother Paul. Not to say to give like Russ's, and he will. His goal is to die penniless, and look at he's already taking care of, a lot of organizations with tens of millions of dollars that he's given away. There's a lot of people here who have a lot of money that are just leaving it to family, friends, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't need it. Give it away to organizations and
Yeah.
do it while you're living.
Scott
where you-
Beeler's giving away. There's
Yeah.
all different things that,
And Scott has a great line, and he's teaching his people at Wester about it, is pay it forward.
yeah.
And just do small acts of kindness. You don't have to put $1 million to name a building. Anyone could just pay it forward by helping someone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be money. You know,
Drop off extra food that you have around the house. And
or just go to a nursing home and say you want to read to them,
yeah,
or you want to hang with someone. You know, just doing something out of your ordinary to give back and to help others. You know, that's how I was brought up. I'll never forget. You know, my mom's been gone for a few years, but, you know, she's one of the 7 angels on my shoulder, and, you know, she's always with us.
yeah. So speaking of another angel on your shoulder, and then we'll get back to the chronology. But Amy Betros and St. Luke's and Norm Paolini and you know, those guys. So,
Matt, how do you, you know, all the issues that are going on in this world, in this city, and on this street, anywhere, it all revolves back to one thing: is that people have lost sight of their faith.
mm-hmm.
And I don't care who they believe in or of,
Yeah,
but they have to believe that
something larger than themselves.
that their parents didn't go to the third aisle at Tops and pull them off the shelf, and that's how they were born. I mean, something bigger than themselves brought them here, and whatever your belief is, you have to believe that that God of their understanding who put them here for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, no matter whom they are or whoever they believe to, on the final day, you got to answer for, you know, how you spent your time here.
Right.
And, you know, I was, just to divert for a minute, but as you know, my baseball career and sports career ended 32 years ago, really 33 years ago, with a near fatal bicycle accident in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, where I was laying on the side of the road and, quite honestly, shouldn't even be here. But, you know, God had other plans for me, and
And thank God.
yeah, and even with that, I mean, I survived 17 hours of trauma surgery, lived in ECMC for 44 days, had all kinds of issues with recovery and coming back, and everything was great. But I didn't listen to a doctor.
Because they thought you were going to die.
Yeah, without a doubt, they came out midway through the surgery and said they were calling the priest. The problem is I didn't listen to them and take all of 1993 off to rest my brain injuries and my internal injuries. I rushed back to work. A year and a half later, have a near nervous breakdown. I'm out of work for about 8 or 9 months on rehab. That ended the bison career, and then was diagnosed with this, what they call a quote-unquote mental illness. And when the
It's
doctor,
trauma, right?
Yeah. When the doctor told me that, I'm like, my first reaction to the word mental was back when I was 6 years old, walking down our street, and parents in the neighborhood said, "Don't go near that house on the second floor. Is a mental retard."
Yeah.
And he would come outside. We go yelling, screaming. I'm thinking to myself today, man, what did we do to this kid?
Yeah.
And that's what parents, that's how
There
they
was a
looked
stigma.
at.
Yeah.
That was the stigma. And so I'm sitting here saying, I'm not mental. I'm not like him. So I hated that term. So here we are this many years later, because I took myself off the antidepressant medications and fired 10 psychiatrists. They warned me. They said, if you take yourself off without weaning yourself off, you'll pay a price that's pretty serious. And they're right. If unmanaged depression will lead to suicide.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
And I stood on the side of the thruway a little over 10 years ago and was ready to call it quits. I had a baseball cap in my hand and said, the next semi-trailer coming by, God, it's in your hands who wins this race. And lo and behold, I had the hood up in case a cop came. I'd say I had car trouble. And here comes a fellow from where I was working at the time, recognized me in the car,
And pulled
pulled
over.
over and said, hey.
It's one of those angels looking out for Mike Billoni again.
And he said, Mike, you need help? And I looked up and I said, all right, God, now what? And at that point, he said, use the tools I gave you to help end the stigmas of mental illness. And that's basically what I'm doing, writing a book that hopefully will be out, fairly, I'm hoping it'll be out this year, but it's been 10 years in the making, and it's really in God's hands as to when that'll happen.
Yeah, yeah. So I did want to talk about Amy a little bit, because everything that you're saying also reminds me of Amy. How I remember at different times. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, at different times, my daughter drew that, and she doesn't like what I did with it. I added words to the side. She's an artist, and
Well,
she thought it was a bad idea. But with Amy, at different points in time, people would say, "Oh, we can't do this. It's unsustainable, and we don't have enough." And excuse me, and Amy would say, "Don't worry, God will provide." And then, sure enough, a truck from Tops would show up with all this food, and because God was looking out for Amy, and God was an angel among us, and Norm. A lot of people focus on Amy and they forget about Norm and Gina, and all of the different people there who played part in the ministry. But I know that you were close with Amy, and she was like a spiritual advisor to you in a sense. So,
well, the irony is she grew up in Kenmore,
okay.
and her family has. So here we are on Lincoln Boulevard,
Uh-huh.
and my mom, who you could count on one hand in her entire lifetime, how many daily masses she missed in the Catholic Church. So every morning we'd be off to school. She's in 8:30 a.m. mass at St.
Praying
Paul's
for all of you.
on the Victoria side. 3 blocks down on Westgate was Amy Betros and her family at the corner of her street, and now the block over from ours was Colvin Cleaners. On Westgate, Amy Betros and her family lived. At the end of her block on Elmwood was Pete's Lebanese Bakery, and that was
And
her,
she's
her
Lebanese.
dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she eventually goes on to Amy's place, and
Yep.
and that starts the ministry.
So about 3 blocks north of there is Debbie Kilgore, or Debbie Panapino.
Uh-huh.
At the end of their block was Panapino's Hardware. And Debbie Panapino went on to marry Ed Kilgore. Today, or a few years ago, Amy, obviously, 30 years, founds St. Luke's. Debbie Kilgore becomes one of her strongest, volunteers, and who runs the gala every year. And then I've been with her every year from day one. She knows she calls me or my brother Paul, and every year with our Coats for Kids program from Colvin Cleaners, 2 truckloads of coats would come, and Charlene and the crew would bring them out, and would take care of their people. She needed anything, she'd call Paul and Amy. But how do you explain, 2 people who have a strong, deep faith go on a trip to where the Blessed Mother gave these messages to 3 young ladies, and it's like typical mission trip. The bus shows up, and here it is, and what
File
centuries
on the
later?
bus, yeah.
Yeah, centuries later, all right, the bus we're leaving in 3 hours or 4 hours. Amy had it planned. She had her chair. She went there, and she was fasting, and she knew on that trip she wanted to be there and sit right where they got the messages. And lo and behold, she got a message.
Yeah.
Go home and, sell your business and open a mission in the poorest part of town. And Norm sees her and says, Amy, you look white as a goat. What happened? And she told him, and Norm's like, I got the same message. And on the trip was Bishop Groves, and he said, all right, when we get back, let's go take a look.
Auxiliary Bishop Gross, yeah.
And they looked around, and lo and behold, St. Luke's, which was
The parish.
which was a big parish, for the Polish
complex
and,
of buildings, yeah.
yep,
School
in its day, it was a heyday there.
yeah.
When that area was flourishing, it became available, and the diocese is selling it, I think, for $850,000, the whole complex. Now, what boggles me to this day is here's two missionaries coming in that they want to follow they're on a mission from God to open a mission in the poorest part of Buffalo. And the diocese says, that's great for 850 grand, and we'll give you 1 month before we let it open to the public. And Amy said, that's great. I'll do it. God will provide. And sure enough, the last week, Virginia Nanula read about it in the Catholic paper, got in her Lexus from East Amherst, and drove to Sycamore and is taking a tour with Amy and said, Amy, you got to get this. She goes, I know. We're like 400 grand shy or whatever the number was.
Oh,
And
that's all?
we only have a couple days left. And she says, well, what could I do? She said, well, call your friends. I need to raise some money.
Huh.
And she said, well, I really think you've got to do this. She pulls out her little checkbook like you and I would have and writes a check for the balance and said, here you go.
See,
And
now,
that's how they started.
now, Amy told me an additional story, which was that she was sitting down with the lawyers and the bishop, and they were talking about the sale. And at first, they wouldn't sell it to her because of the connection, and they were worried about liability and and the distance. And she said that to them. She said, if I were Protestant, if I was this, if I was that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would be a done deal already. And Bishop Head, I'm pretty sure it was Bishop Head,
Yeah.
looked at everybody and said, you know what, she's right, write up the papers. Because it was prejudice against her because they were worried about CYA, But yeah, Amy was a very, very special person.
And the blessing of her, she was such a visionary too. And she was, right now they have one of the finest facilities there that Howard Rich is and Kathleen Matar are running from the board, and it's called Build Promise, Amy's Place of Hope.
Uh-huh.
And it's a homeless shelter for men. But it's also a community medical center for the community and a
Okay.
community room and a large kitchen that Russ Salvatore donated the money for. And the money that so many organizations and people, they were able to open with no debt because people just donated.
Yeah.
And I remember I was never in on those meetings, but people that were telling me that, here you got all these major players around the table, and they're looking and saying, Amy, this is impossible. You can't, we need to get this money. We're building. And she says, calm down. God will provide. God will provide. And sure enough, here comes a check, and it's open now, and they now have rezoned the area as a medical campus because they have medical services in there. It's just wonderful. That was her vision. And also her vision along the way was taking one of the missionaries, Dennis and his wife Sue, but mostly Dennis, and said, look at Dennis, I'm not going to be here forever. No, Amy, you will. But he has come along, and they made him interim director, and now he's following in her footsteps, and he's just doing a masterful job.
And she's looking down and helping out.
Oh, her
Without a doubt.
presence, every time I'm there, her presence is there. My late wife, Debbie, Amy was, praying over her and working with her, and Debbie was supposed to be working there. And the day before she started, she got sick and was in the hospital for those final 44 days. And when we met to do the funeral mass at St. Luke's, Amy said, it's sad that the Lord has called, Debbie, but, she's going to help us more where she is now than if she was in here physically. And
Yeah.
she's right. We created a food fund in her name, and, it'll go on forever.
Yeah. So I wanted to wrap up, and I'm thinking that it would be good to talk about the stigma that you were talking about more, or whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I'm a...
Because there's an organization that you're working with, right?
Well, I'm writing my memoir. It's been over 15 years or so, called My Miracle, How the Power of Prayer Saved My Life. And the goal of the book is to help end the stigmas associated with mental illness and to bring hope and inspiration to those suffering.
Because the stigma is the additional thing that kills people.
Exactly, because they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be labeled that.
Yeah.
And then to help lower the number of suicides, which there was another one this morning, according to a Buffalo policeman I was talking to, of someone who jumped off the Skyway, which is a popular spot for it, as is Niagara Falls. But unfortunately, because of the media, and I was in the media, doesn't publicize suicides a lot, unless it's, a famous person.
Because they're worried about copycats, or
A lot of that, and there's a lot of them that happen in Niagara Falls that I know firsthand because I know the Border Patrol guys. But they don't want it publicized for a number of reasons.
right? Yeah.
Mostly because of the copycat. But, it's interesting. I have a very close friend, Sammy Violante, Sammy V, who was detected with OCD years ago. So that ended his career. And he's now motivates, inspires a lot of people. And we were talking about this, and, he said, as far as suicide goes, on the last day, we all know we're going to be asked, how did we live our life? But no one knows how that conversation is going to be, who's it going to be with, what's the agenda. So I said, there's probably a better than not chance they're going to start with the 10 Commandments. Let's see how you did there, and we'll go on from there. So, all right, so now here comes so-and-so, and he just committed suicide. He shows up at the gates, and they said, all right, well, thou shalt not kill. How'd you do on that one? Well, I killed myself. Well, wait a minute. I gave you your life down there. I gave you free will, and you decided
To throw
in your
away
mind
the greatest gift.
to end it on your terms? When I look at it that way, and I've told that to people that have contemplated suicide that I'm working with on my book, and they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing, and this is what was told to me by my brother when I was thinking of this, and I call it, in AA, any 12-step program, there's a higher power, the God of your
Right.
understanding. I also say there's a lower power, and I call it Satan, who's going to pull you into these directions. And I say he was always...
Give you false promises.
Yeah, he
and
was
all
responsible for pulling me into the hole of depression, suicide, all that, that you don't think about what you're leaving behind. You're just thinking you're going to do everyone a favor by you not being here because
Yeah.
of whatever, financial issues,
Yeah.
marital,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
this stuff. So he says to me a great line. He says, do you realize, all right, now you're gone. You don't have to worry about any of this. What about the people you leave behind?
Yeah.
Geez, it had to be something I said that led Joe to jump off the bridge.
Yeah.
No, it was something I
I
said.
said.
I should have done the... You've now
I didn't
screwed
return
up.
his phone call. I didn't do this. I didn't do that.
I know families that can't live the rest of their life because her daughter committed suicide 29 years ago. The day before she died, she called her mother, said, Mom, can you come up here tomorrow rather than Sunday? And she says, I'd love to, but I have this dinner I have to go to.
Yeah.
She's living with us the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Worst mistake she ever made, she called it.
Yeah.
It isn't her fault, but how do you tell her that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't tell people that. I heard years ago that there was a guy in San Francisco, and he was going to jump off, the Golden Gate Bridge, and he left a note, and the note said, I'm not going to jump if somebody says something to me on the way. Somebody says something kind to me, says hello, whatever. And unfortunately nobody did, and they find the note. And that's, one of the things I always think about what the Dalai Lama says about, it's always, be kind, always. Because you have no idea what people are going through. I'm sure when you were contemplating suicide, loads of people thought, oh, Mike's fine, no problem.
Well, that's a problem. That's the one thing you talked about, stigma, and we'll end in a minute on here. I had someone research for me mental retardation. only to find that 15 years ago, former President Obama signed into law ending the term mental retardation. And this student of mine found the teacher in Massachusetts whose daughter was had a version of and was called a retard in her first day of class. Didn't want to come out of her room.
Yeah.
So the mother marched into the capital of Boston, Massachusetts, and said, "We got to end this," and they did. They ended the term in mass, and then they went and had it.
national.
So I'm now seeing a brain health expert named Dr. Daniel Amen, A-M-E-N, who's a psychiatrist who blasts his own industry because their first prescription is antidepressants. His is a more holistic approach
Right.
to brain health. And his feeling toward the stigma, along with First Lady Rosalind Carter, who headed up mental health for her husband, Jimmy Carter, is the terminology. So I put those together. I put my own experience of war mental, and my advocacy when this book comes out is that we change the terminology from mental health, mental illness, to brain health issues or
Brain
something
wellness,
in that.
or yeah, something.
Because if you have a stomach ache, it's a stomach ache.
Yeah.
If you have a brain ache, it's a brain. Well, kids, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But that stigma is causing more people not to want to say something.
Yeah.
Suicide, I think we can lower those numbers tremendously if we can only get them to talk. Well, how's Matt? Oh, he's fine. He's all right.
Yeah.
Well, dig in deeper. No, he isn't fine. And we got to find out why. And exactly what you said earlier, a friend of mine just said it earlier today to his sister when she said, "Oh, I saw you, but I didn't want to say hello." And he said, "That's the worst thing you could do."
Yeah.
You didn't know what kind of
Yeah.
day he was. Maybe
Yeah.
you saying hello would have made his day. And you're just saying that about that note.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, a smile.
When I think of people, even if it was years and years ago, I call people. So, and I think that's a good thing to do. I want to thank you, Mike, so much. And with Mike, look forward to his book because he's leaving here. He's going home. He's finishing the book.
Well, not tonight.
Yeah, well, tomorrow morning. And he's also going to talk to Richard, and he's going to have a podcast, and he's going to have guests, and he'll talk about all different things because Mike's everywhere.
Richard, wow, he just took that suggestion like it's now a fact. But before we get into that one,
Yeah.
I've got to come back here and we've got to just be more specific. We're going to talk strictly baseball.
I love baseball.
So we'll have a baseball. I'll bring my book, The Seasons of Buffalo Baseball.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we'll tell some Buffalo baseball stories.
That's awesome. Yeah. Sounds good.
And I'll leave you with this one. You can quote, who is the only Hall of Famer in baseball who has played in all three of Buffalo's stadiums, Offerman, War Memorial, and Pilot Field that is now Salem Field.
It has to be somebody in the 70s, right?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Take care.
Take care.